Welcome back again. In continuation with the growth and development of agriculture, we are going to do the effects of green revolution. So, what could be the effect? With the miracle seeds, what happened? Productivity increased. Production increased, productivity increased. So, once that increased, what happened? Farmers' incomes increased because of the scientific cultivation. The traditional ways came down, the modern technology was introduced, and because these were miracle seeds and they could grow very fast, they could use the land for multiple cropping. Other crops could be grown in that time, and there were certain industries that came up, like for example, which were connected to agriculture. That was another effect, and the outlook of the farmers changed. Basically, this is what are the effects of the green revolution. So a quick revision as we just go through that. As you read, I'm going to just tell you that the effects of green revolution, of course, increase in production. I want you to also learn up, or when you go through your notebooks or textbooks, you should use a little data. Take some data, especially take the data from 65 etc. to the recent one. Since it's 1990s, you can do that, and from that is a period you can take. So increase in production means what? The major achievement of green revolution was a sharp increase in the production of major cereals like wheat and rice. And if we take the production of wheat, that has increased from 10.4 million tons in 1965-66 to 55.1 million tons in 1991. And so also rice production, which stood at 36.6 million tons in 1965-66, increased to 74.3 million tons in 1991. So if we see, the total production of food grains in 1965-66 was 82.4 million tons, and which went on to be as 176.4 million tons in 1990-91. So we see that the growth in agricultural output is important, was really important, but along with it, we saw that there was a marketable surplus. Marketable surplus means there was commercialization. That means they could sell in the market. The produce which is sold in the market by the farmers after meeting their own consumption requirement. So that is why the price of food grains also declined relative to other items of consumption. So we did become self-sufficient in the food grains, and we also exported them. Another thing was increase in productivity. The new technology has brought about a sharp increase in agricultural productivity in respect of food grains. That means we are talking about per hectare production has gone up. I can support it with data. Just go through your textbooks and see what the data is. And then it also led to increase in the incomes of the farmers. So since green revolution was limited to wheat and rice for a number of years, its benefits were enjoyed by wheat and rice growing areas of Punjab, Haryana, Western UP and Andhra Pradesh. And the income of the farmers in these states grew sharply. And to quite an extent, poverty was removed from rural areas in these states. And then we also see that another effect of green revolution is scientific cultivation. So the traditional agricultural inputs and practices have given way to new and scientific practices. Instead of farming, the ordinary seeds, farmers were using high yielding variety seeds, which were, as we've said, miracle seeds. Instead of traditional fertilizer, which was prepared from animal dung, other waste, etc., it was replaced by chemical fertilizers. So the area under high yielding variety seeds has increased sharply between this period of time. You see that it from 1.89 million hectares in 1966-67 to about 78.4 million hectares in, say, 1989-90. And because of this, another effect was that you must see was that it brought about a change in the cropping pattern. As a result of the Green Revolution, it was seen that there was a change in the cropping pattern. What does that mean? It means that the proportion of cereals in the food grains output has increased and the proportion of pulses has declined. Second, the proportion of wheat within cereals has increased while that of coarse grains has declined. So this was noticeable. And then we come to how it has affected, brought about new industries connected to agriculture. They came up, like for example, if you see that so many industries producing agricultural machinery, chemical fertilizers, then pesticides, insecticides came up during that time to meet the growing demands for these commodities. And of course, we see a change in attitude. Our farmers had now begun to think that they could change their misfortunes by adopting the new technology. And initially they were not. They didn't want to give up their traditional way of living. So they were giving up traditional agricultural practices for scientific practices. And another thing which was noticed was that there was increase in employment. Like for example, seasonal unemployment came down. So more people were needed throughout the year. And of course, it also increased demand for various other services like transport, marketing. So in keeping with that, we see that the employment opportunities did increase during this time. So these are the effects of Green Revolution, and then we're going to talk about the weaknesses too in the next.